Okay, so let's continue from before the break. Okay, before the break, we talked about denominator that has variable. Okay, so you can see that to get common denominator, you just need to get something that covers all the denominator. Okay, and you can see each of the denominator in the question. They are all separated by multiply 2 times n and n squared times n, right? And then second part as well, right? So they are all factored. So that's why you look at each of the factors separately. Okay, make sure your denominator includes all the factors. So let's write that down. That's a very important sentence. So common denominator, okay, includes all, okay, all factors. But we want to just get the minimum, the lowest possible, okay? So let's look at question B. Question B, the common denominator, if you can see that you have this count as one part, right? Because subtraction means they are together. This is another part, okay? So common denominator, of course, you can say it's y squared minus 16, right? First part times second part, right? That's common denominator. It's not wrong, okay? But then is this the lowest possible, right? We want to make our work less later, right? Otherwise, we will have difficult simplifying. So we want to make sure the common denominator we get is the lowest common denominator. So to do that, right, we can see that if you remember from factoring, y squared minus 16. How do we factor this one? Yosher?
Y plus 4, y minus 4.
Yeah, so this one is a difference of square. We have a formula for that, right? So if we factor it, right, so we need to be sensitive to which part can be factored, which part cannot be factored. So this one we see right away. It's a two term, right, with the subtraction. We can factor by formula. And then the second fraction, it just stay the same. So now you can see we have two parts in the first, okay, let me use a different color, right? Two parts in the first denominator. And then for the second fraction, you have one part. So the common denominator that's needed to include all these factors, we don't need all three, right? Because the red are the same. So the common denominator for this one, in fact, we just need two of them, okay? We need y plus 4. We also need y minus 4. So inside this common denominator, I can see the denominator for the first fraction, right? Red and green. And then inside there, I can also see the y plus 4 for the second fraction. So that's enough, right, to include. So once again, this is the key, all right? It includes all factors in each of the denominator, right? Inside there, I can see the denominator for the first fraction. I can also see the denominator for the second fraction, and that's all you need, okay? So do not just take all the denominator and then multiply together, all right? That's not the lowest common denominator. So once you finish that, okay, so any questions so far, how to get common denominator? Can you raise your hand if you understand how to get a common denominator? Eric? Eric? Eric?
Hello.
Yeah?
Sorry, you're kind of lagging.
Okay, do you understand how to get common denominator?
Yeah.
Okay, can you raise your hand? Okay, very good. All right, so the common denominator we all agree on to use this one. So after that, right, we just compare like we did before, okay? Compare the first fraction with the first one. They're already the same, right? So the y just doesn't need to multiply anything, okay? And then the subtract, we keep the subtract. For the second denominator, we need to multiply with a y minus 4, right? It's missing a y minus 4. So it needs to times it by y minus 4. Does anyone have questions on how I get the numerator? Okay, so I'm keeping it in the brackets right now so that I don't forget. It's the negative 4 that needs to expand. Okay, you see the same idea throughout. So denominator is still keeping brackets. Okay, do not expand the denominator. You can write that down. Don't expand denominator. Okay, the top I can expand because we want to collect the like terms. It'll be y minus 4y plus 16. There's a common like terms, right? So you get negative 3y. Okay, y minus 4y is negative 3y plus 16 over those two. Okay, is there anything else we need to do, Aaron? Are we done?
The restrictions.
Yes, very good. Okay. Also, you can check, right? See if there's any to factor on the numerator, right? In this case, nothing, no GCF to take out. Then you can basically say this is the simplified expression, but then don't forget all the question that has variable in denominator, you need to get restrictions. So what does the restriction say? Sarah, are you there? What is this restriction for this one?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. Restrictions. Y cannot equal to negative 4 and 4.
Yeah, very good. Okay, y cannot equal to negative 4 and 4. So you get them from the part that you have factored. So I'm highlighting it. You can look at those denominator, right? The yellow highlighted part, or this part, right? Since there's nothing canceled out, right? So you don't need to worry about missing restrictions, okay? So for add and subtract, restriction is pretty straightforward. You just look at all the denominator. But don't look at the original one, okay? Because the original question you haven't factored yet, okay? So you get y cannot be negative 4 and 4. So together, this is your package of your answer. All right. So remember, first step is to factor wherever possible so that you can get the lowest common denominator, okay? You don't want to multiply everything together and call that denominator. So I would like you to try question B first. We'll go over question B, making sure everyone gets it right. And then C and D, you can work on your own, okay? So please go ahead. For this question B, please raise your hand when you have found out the common denominator, okay? We'll check the common denominator first before we proceed. So first step, factor wherever possible, okay, for question B, and tell me what's the common denominator. Raise your hand when you got a common denominator. let's check. Okay, what's the common denominator, Colin? What do you have?
2y plus 3, 2y minus 3.
2y plus 3, 2y minus 3. Okay, let's check the factor part. Okay, first one, I will do that for you guys, right? That's a difference of square. 2y plus 3, 2y minus 3. Okay, for the second one, how do you factor that? Aaron? Aaron?
You do a cross. Yeah,
Yeah.
the cross factor, right?
What did you find?
2y minus 3 and 2y minus 3.
So it will be 2y minus 3 squared.
Square, yeah.
Very good. Okay. So if you want to get common denominator, you want to make sure it has enough, right? To cover, to include both denominators. Okay. So does everyone agree with the common denominator that Colin says, or anyone has different one for common denominator?
2y plus 3 and 2y minus 3 squared.
Okay, 2y plus 3, 2y minus 3 squared. So Sarah has this one. Anyone else? Okay, so let's see whether common denominator should be the first one or the second one. Okay, I'll use color. Okay, so we have 2y plus 3, and then you have the green one, 2y minus 3, right? And then 2 3 as well for the second. So you want something that's big enough so that it includes both denominator. So if you look at the first denominator, first common denominator, you have the 2y plus 3, right? That's there. You also have the 2y minus 3, right? So inside the first one, okay, let me label it. This is the first choice, this is the second choice, okay? In the first choice, I can see the denominator for the first fraction, right? I see the red and green. Now in the second fraction, it needs a square, right? That means you need 2 green. But in the first choice, you only have 1 green color. So that won't be enough to include, right? Does that make sense? So that means we need to have another 2y minus 3. So for example, for Sarah's answer, this one, right? It has the 2y minus 3, right? And then also has the 2y minus 3 squared as well. Okay, so that would be the minimum. So it's still better than multiply all 3 things together, right? So you don't need 2y minus 3 to the cube. You just need square. That's big enough. Okay, so it should be, let me rewrite it. Okay, so common denominator should be 2y plus 3, 2y minus 3. You can write a square or you can write it again. Okay, so you have square there. You also have the red and green, right? So inside there, you can see red and green. You can see 2 greens. Make sense? Okay, that's how you pick common denominator. You don't want it to be too little. You also don't want it to be too much. Just right. Okay, just enough to see both. So now you got a common denominator. We'll put that in. 2y plus 3, 2y minus 3 squared. So the first numerator, what do we need to multiply by? Nathan, what do we need to multiply with?
The numerators?
Yep, numerator for the first one.
I'm not sure.
For the first fraction, okay, can you compare the denominator with the new denominator. Let me highlight it, okay?
Oh, is it just 2y take away 3 and then bracket 3y?
Yeah, very good, okay? It's missing the 2y minus 3. Okay, and Eric, what about the second fraction? What do we need to multiply with?
I think it's 2y times 2y plus 3.
Yes, very good. Okay, so plus 2, oh, sorry, not plus, minus, right? Because question is a minus 2y, and it's missing the red, right, in the denominator. So we need to times it by 2y plus 3. Okay, does anyone have question about how we get the numerator here? After this, okay, we got through the hardest part. It's just exciting now, okay? So please simplify the numerator and raise your hand when you got the final answer, okay? Don't forget to write restrictions too. Okay, we have 4 people finished. Anyone else? Okay, Brendan, what's your final answer look like?
2y squared minus 15y over 2y plus 3 bracket 2y minus 3 squared.
Okay. Restrictions?
Y cannot equals negative 3 over
Over. Can you say that again, Brendan? What's the restriction? Brennan? Brennan, can you hear me? What's the restriction?
Oh, sorry. -3/2 and 3/2.
Okay. Okay, Aaron, how about you? What's your final answer look like? Aaron,
It's the same thing.
restriction the same?
Yeah, but for the answer, I factor out y.
Okay. So the numerator is, you took out the y and what's
Y bracket 2i subtract 15.
okay. And denominator just copy it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's quickly check. Okay, so if you only just factor, then it's the same thing. Okay, so because nothing cancels out, so it doesn't matter if you factor or not. Both of them will be correct. But here, let's just quickly check if the final answer is right. So we can do this in the head. Okay, 6y squared minus 4y squared, so that gives you 2y squared. Right? 2y squared, that's good. And then minus 9y minus 6y, so that's minus 15y. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, so your answer can either be this one or the one that's factored. Okay, if you factored out and then something canceled out, then you need to cancel it, right? So suppose after you factor out, the top is the same as the bottom, then you can reduce, okay? This one, nothing can be reduced. So factor or not, it doesn't matter, okay? So same thing for the last two. So you start with factoring, okay? Get a common denominator and then keep the denominator in brackets, okay? Do not expand the denominator because you want to use it to find restrictions, okay? You just need to expand the numerator and simplify. So I'll let you do the last two questions at the bottom, okay? When you finish both, you can raise your hand. Or if you have any questions, okay, let me know. So I do want to double check the common denominator, okay? Because if you get the wrong one, it affects everything else. So Nathan, once you get a common denominator, please let me know for question C.
Jason,
Yeah.
the common denominator is like, it's like really it's like m squared take away 99m plus 540.
Yeah, you got to factor everything, okay? Before you find common denominator, like question B, do you understand how we get the common denominator for B?
Yeah, you have to factor it.
Yeah, factor wherever possible, right? Have you factored everything yet?
Okay, I'll factor it now. Do you
Yeah.
factor both of them?
Wherever possible, right? You got to try, see if it's possible to factor.
Like, do I factor the numerator and the denominator?
Well, numerator is already factored, right? 4 times m, that's already factored. But denominator has add and subtract, right? So you try, see if you can factor those. Add and subtract, right? Whenever they are add and subtract, then maybe you can factor. So think about GCF, right? Formula,
Yeah.
cross multiply.
Okay.
Okay.
Jason,
Yeah.
for the first one, I got m, then bracket m take away 9 plus 18.
Huh? How did you do that? Which method did you use?
GCF.
It doesn't have GCF. You have to look at 3 things, right? Do they all have M?
Oh,
No, right? So M is not GCF. This one is 3 terms. 3 terms, which method do you use?
I don't like the formula thing.
No, formula is for which one? Can you turn to your factor page? Factors section.
I'll get the other book for that then.
Yeah, you gotta look at other books.
I'll go get it right now.
Okay.
The cross factor one.
Okay, yeah. So you got for 3 terms it's cross factor. When do you use the formula?
It's not factorable, or the questions ask you to.
No, no.
Jason, can I give it a try?
Can you hold on one sec, Eric? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, when do you use formula? Can you check the notes?
When it's not factorable.
Uh,
That's what I have written down.
are you looking at factoring polynomial?
Yeah.
Yeah. For formula, you use it when there are 2 terms and subtraction. Right, like this, like the last question here, the 4y squared minus 9, this one you use formula. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, 2 terms, and it has a subtraction in the middle. So that's why, right, subtraction. So you use the formula for that. That's the difference of square, okay?
The first one.
So Nathan, do you know how
M
to cross multiply? Nathan,
yeah.
yeah. Can you keep your mic on? Okay. So
It is
have you have you factored the first denominator?
Yeah.
What is it?
M take away 3 and then M take away 6.
Okay. Second one.
I'm doing that one now.
Okay.
It's M take away 5 and then M take away 6.
Okay. So what do you think the common denominator is now?
M M take away 3, M take away 5, M take away 6.
Okay. Yeah. So we want something that you can include all the denominator, right? But we don't need all 4 brackets. Just 3 is enough to see all 4, right? Okay, Eric, you were saying?
It was the same thing.
Okay. So common denominator, we all agree on these 3 brackets. Okay, so please complete the rest. So remember, you need to factor before you find common denominator. That's why we learn factoring, right? Before we learn rational expression. So you guys can raise your hand if you finish both C and D, okay? Don't forget restrictions. Okay, Eric, you finished both C and D?
Oh, I'm almost done D.
Okay. Okay, let's go over C first. So can you tell us what you got on the numerator for the second line here? Aaron?
Oh, 4m bracket m subtract 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then you add 2m
Mm-hmm.
multiplied by m plus 3
M
or m minus 3.
minus 3, yeah, very good. Okay. So here we do some expansion, okay? So it'll be, let's do some mental math, huh? Let's see how you guys, what you guys got. Okay, Colin, do you have the final answer for C?
6m squared minus 26m
And then,
over m minus 6 minus 3 m minus 5.
okay. And Yosher, what's the restriction?
M cannot equal to 635.
Okay. Right, so let's check if the numerator is right. Okay, so 4m times m, 4m squared. 4m squared plus 2m squared, that's 6m squared. That's good. And then we'll check the m. Minus 20m and then minus 6m. Right, minus 20 minus 6, so that's minus 26. Okay, that's good. Okay, so sometimes you can skip a step if you are good at mental math, right? Then you can write that, but make sure you are confident about your integers. Okay, so that should be our answer for C. Okay, you guys can raise your hand if you finish C and D. Okay, Nathan, are you on question D now?
I'm just finishing copying down C because I went to the washroom. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Let's check common denominator now. Okay, Eric, are you done? Question D.
Yeah, I finished.
Please raise your hand.
Oh, I forgot.
And Nathan, how far are you now? Yeah, you're done. Okay. So Nathan, what's your common denominator?
I didn't get the first one, but the second one's 2x take away 5 and then 2x plus 1.
Hold on. What do you mean?
I didn't get the first one, but I know the second one is 2x take away 5 and 2x plus 1.
You mean the denominator?
Yeah, for the second one, like the one with the 2x
2x
plus 5 on top.
No, 2x take away 1.
5 and then 2x take away 5 and 2x
2x
plus
take
1
and then 2x
plus 1.
plus 1. Okay. And then numerator is this one. Okay, and let me rewrite it again. Yeah, that one looks good. Yeah, factor is correct. For the first denominator, okay, can you keep your mic on, Nathan? The denominator has how many terms?
2.
2 terms, right? It has subtraction in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what method to use to factor?
The complete square thing.
Not complete square, that's a different chapter, okay? And this one, formula. Can you keep your mic on, please? Yeah. Do you know what formula I'm talking about?
I'm looking through the book. I'm looking through the book to find it right now.
It's called the difference of square.
Okay.
It'd be the second method in the factoring.
I don't have that method in my book.
Third, factor polynomial. Factor polynomial is in book 1, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can help you find that. Book 1. Factor. Okay, over here, page 26. Can you find it on your book?
Oh, I found it now.
Okay, so look
Oh
at,
yeah, I know.
yeah, do you remember now?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me how to factor the denominator for the first?
I know the answer. It's 2x plus 5, 2x take away 5.
Yeah, 2x plus 5, 2x take away 5. So what do you think the common denominator is now?
Uh, mm, 2x take away 5, 2x plus 5, 2x plus 1.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so we need something that includes all 4 of them. So even though they are all 4, but then 2 of them are the same, so we don't. Okay, so we have 2x plus 5. We need 2x minus 5. We also need 2x plus 1. Okay, so has anyone got the final answer for this one? I think everyone did. Okay, Brendan, what's your final answer for this one?
I got 20x minus 24 over 2x plus 5, 2x minus 5, and 2x plus 1.
Okay, lots of writing, huh? 2x minus 5 and 2x plus 1. Okay, anyone else got different?
I have
Mm-hmm.
20x minus 26,
Mm-hmm.
and then the same.
Same denominator. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else got different?
I got the same as Yoshir, except the 20 is a negative.
20 is a negative, so negative 20x, you mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
negative 20.
Oh, negative 20x, okay. All right, so how about Colin?
Same.
Same? Okay, so let's see, okay? So where's the 24 and 20 come from? So we'll quickly write out the numerator, right? We compare the denominator. The first fraction needs 2x plus 1, right? So double check. I think the common mistake is because of the subtraction, okay? That's the part that's messing things up. So watch how I do this question when I expand, right? So 2x plus 5. For the second one, it needs 2x plus 5. Does anyone have question about how we get the numerator? You compare, okay? Oops, let me go back. Right, green one, and then the blue one, right? So we have the red, the green, and the blue. Okay, you just compare the color, then you can see what's missing. Okay, for the first fraction is missing the blue. For the second fraction is missing the red. So that's why I multiply those color. And then after that, you just need to expand carefully. But because of the subtraction in the middle, I'm gonna keep it outside first. Okay, first one will be 4x squared minus 1. That's a difference of square. The second one is 4x squared plus 20x plus 25. Okay, so you can see that I still keep it in brackets. Okay, the denominator, I'm just copying it. Now we just combine like terms. Okay, so be careful when you do subtraction. There's a subtraction for that. 4x squared, subtract 4x squared, so it's gone. Okay, -1, right, from the first bracket, -1 subtract 25, so that's why it makes -26. Okay, and then the 20x, because the subtraction here, it will go in, right? It affects each one of them. You can expand the bracket by moving the negative in. Okay, so that's why it makes it -20x. So answer should be this one. This is a very tricky question, okay, because of the subtraction. Of course, denominator, let's also fill that in. Okay, finally, the restrictions. Aaron, what's the restriction?
Positive and negative 5/2 and -2.
-1/2. Okay, hold on, I wrote it wrong. 5/2 and -1/2. Okay, so if you don't have any questions about this, right, today's homework will be add and subtract, okay? So be careful with the subtraction sign, okay? Make sure you read the notes and please start the homework as soon as possible, better tomorrow before you forget the little things, okay? So for restriction, you just look at the denominator here. Hold on, let me just highlight those. This part, that's where you find the restrictions. Okay, so I see you guys next week. And yeah, if you have questions, you can stay after. Okay, bye bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome.